Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon in some places. I'm Victorious One. I'm starting this channel new, just so you all could go on a journey with me. And what's my journey? My journey is the life of having sarcoid. I'm gonna let you all enter into my life for a little bit. I'm gonna be a little transparent. Some people may know and some may not know that I have been diagnosed or was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. And what is sarcoidosis? Sarcoidosis, and I'm going to read it to you, read the definition of sarcoidosis to you. It is a chronic inflammatory disease with an unknown cause which can affect various organs in the human body. Usually, sarcoidosis affects the lungs and lymph nodes, but the heart, liver, the eyes, and skin can be affected as well. In 90% of cases, it affects the lungs. So, and that's what's happening with me. It affects my lungs, but not only my lungs, it affects my eyes as well. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey. This will be just the start. This is the first video probably of many. So just take this journey with me. That's all I ask. And as you watch this video or when you finish this video, all I ask is that you like, share, and comment. Comment at the bottom because I want other people to know my journey. I have found out in the past couple of years that a lot of people do not know about sarcoidosis, or they call it sarcoid for short. And they ask me, what is that? What does that entail? And I found myself having to explain, but not only explain, tell people about how it's affected me. And I'm glad to do that before the next person that may have to go through the same thing. So let me begin by letting you know how my journey began. I think, and it wasn't, and I don't call myself a physician, a doctor, or anything by any means, but I think my journey with sarcoid started in 2003. And it started with me having a lot of pain in my chest, in my sternum area. It was excruciating pain. I went through it for like a couple of days, let that pain sit there until one night it was just too bad. I couldn't stand it anymore, and I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room. And when I went, they did chest x-rays and everything and told me I had a little fluid on my lungs. And they called it pleurisy. And so they sent me home with two fluid tablets, 2 fluid tablets, told me to take them. Took the fluid tablets when I got home, and the next day it was still just as bad. So because my husband was in the military, we went on base to the clinic, and they checked me. The doctor told me the pain was probably radiating from my spleen, which I didn't see how that was. But anyway, he's the doctor. So he checked me, had me to be sent for a chest x-ray. Did that. They sent me home with Motrin. Okay. Went home with the Motrin, and the next day, I got a call from the doctor on base. I was at work, so of course that scared me because we had just had a teacher at the school I was working at that passed from lung disease, or from I think it was lung cancer. So I'm calling, we're playing phone tag, and finally got the doctor. He had me to come on base the next morning because he said something didn't look right in my x-rays. Okay, next day comes, go on base, and it's the base hospital commander that had called me, which was a red flag for me. Me and my husband go in his office. He asked me what the doctor had me to do the day before, and I told him. He pulled up my x-ray and he showed me where it was a lot of fluid on my lungs. You could see it was covered, it was cloudy. So he had us to go straight from the hospital. He said, do not stop for lunch. Do like they say, do not pass go. Just go straight to the hospital, not the hospital, I'm sorry, to a cardiologist. Went straight to Greenville to a cardiologist. They did a heart sonogram, and they told me I had to be admitted immediately, and that they were going to have to do emergency surgery. Of course, yes, I broke down and cried, but they admitted me immediately, and they told me if they did not get the fluid off of my lungs, off of my heart, I'm sorry, from around my heart, that my heart was going to constrict and I could possibly die. That was very fearful. So, of course, I get admitted, and they take me to ER. They could not put me asleep. They had to keep me awake, but they numbed the area where they were going to put the tube to get the fluid from around my heart. Was it painful? Yes. I think if that's the way a heart attack feels, then no, I need to take care of myself. But they took maybe about a jar about this tall. I don't know how many milliliters it was, but they took a jar that full and showed me. I was watching as they pulled the fluid from off of my lungs. I was seeing it on a monitor, and they pulled that much fluid from around my heart. I couldn't believe it. So, of course, I stayed in the hospital for that night till the next day, and they had to make sure they got all the fluid off. They tested me for everything, from lupus, whatever. They couldn't find anything. They said it was probably something viral, and just to keep an eye, out, because it could come back. And so I did. So I was able to go home the next day. And that was in 2003. So, sarcoidosis does affect your heart as well. So I think that was the first red flag, or not red flag, that was the beginning of my journey with sarcoid, but nobody knew, to check for that. Of course, because it was what it was. It was fluid around my heart. So who would think, even in their testing, to check for that? I don't know if back then sarcoid was prominent. I'm not sure, because I had never heard of it. But that was the start of my journey with sarcoid. And I don't know if someone else has gone through this, but this is the beginning of our journey with sarcoidosis. I'm just putting this out there to help someone else, and hopefully it will. But I will be back with the next part of the journey. This is part 1, and there will be a part 2, maybe 3, 4, but we'll see. But again, this is the start. Again, I'm Victorious One. Please be sure to like, share, and comment on this video. And until next time, be blessed.